I ended up missing week 8 of the fall trimester. I had a family matter pop up, so I wasn't able to make it into the studio that week. So this diary entry is for week 9 of the fall trimester of 2017. So on Monday, I looked at my figure painting and I had a really fresh eye because I haven't seen it for a week. And I'm seeing that there's a lot of things that I want to change with the painting still. I feel like the drawing isn't as solid as it could be. The value structure isn't as solid as it could be. And then I can correct colors also in the painting. So I think what I want to do is start to go back and do the work on the drawing again. But Magda came by and she asked me what I had thought, and I said all that I wanted to correct the drawing and the values and the color. And she said the biggest thing for her is when she looks at it is it looks like I've been kind of spinning around the block-in phase of this painting, and now is the time that I need to push it out of the block-in phase and start resolving it. And so she said when she looks at it, the biggest thing, the farthest that it is away from nature, is edge quality, and that what's making it look like it's still in the block-in phase is that the edges are all handled pretty similarly, and that they're all relatively sharp edges, which is giving the figure that block-in look, and also like it's kind of cartoony. And so she was saying that why she thinks I'm stuck in the block-in phase is because everything's sharp. And so to get away from that, look at the model Brian and see what is the opposite spectrum of that. So the opposite of sharp would be the softest thing. And so she was saying that if you look at his hair, that is the softest thing, and it should be the softest thing in the whole painting. And she said that there's a few things. One, that I actually do just have hard edges for the hair, but also the value between the hair and the background had too much contrast, and so that was making the edges look sharper than they actually are. She was saying that it's a lot more diffused looking because the values are a lot closer together. So she said catching that up, correcting the background with the shadows, and I'm counting the hair as a shadow because it's definitely not part of the light shape, that would start to show me what I can do to then move this from block-in to resolving it. And so that ended up helping a whole bunch, doing that and working with the hair and making sure that was as soft as it needed to be. So then that really set me up with, I have the sharp is sharp and now the soft is soft, and so now I can work in relation between that key that I set up to move it out of the block-in to start getting it looking closer to nature and more like a resolved painting. And then on Tuesday, I start the day off by analyzing my painting and see what is the furthest thing behind or the thing that's furthest away from nature. And the arm that he has held up is the farthest thing behind. The hand is really simplified, and the arm just isn't as developed as everything else. So I started working there, and I started with working out from the shadow shapes and making sure that the shadow shapes are as accurate shape-wise, but also edge quality then as well, making sure that they're sharp where they need to be and diffused where they need to be. And then as I correct the light shape with that, that's also I'm also working with the color of everything as well. So I got that in and tried to still be doing that as simply as possible. And then I moved on to, well, the whole torso, and doing the same thing with the arm, where I start in the shadow shape and correct the shape, correct the edges, how it gradually blends out into the light shape. And then I start working on the hanging arm and also the legs. And so doing everything that I've been saying before, where I started in the shadow shape, but I'm also correcting a lot more the color in these areas. This was a nice cloudy day, so everything was really bright and colorful, and so I wanted to reflect that in the painting and make sure that that hanging arm and the legs have a lot more red in them than what I originally had. So yeah, I was making sure that I was doing everything with the shadow shapes, edges, and also then correcting the color in the light shapes for those areas. Wednesday, this day was really bright and sunny out, which means that the light coming down the skylight and hitting Brian made him look really gray and dull. So I didn't want to be working so much with the color, but so I focused today with correcting the drawing and the value structure more. So I really focused my attention on his torso, mostly his stomach, because I wasn't quite happy with how I had that before. So with the stomach, I'm just trying to make sure that the planes of the stomach are evident and that the edges between the shapes of the plane make sense. And also, looking at it today, since it's not as bright, as colorful, it really shows me with my painting that I think I pushed the reds in that hanging arm and the legs a little bit too much. So I'm trying to counteract that a little bit. And so I didn't have a lot of time to work on the color then at the end of the session. So I really quickly just dry brushed in a more cooled down version. So everything kind of was working together rather than having him kind of have a gray top and a really colorful legs. So everything else kind of I think harmonizes a little bit better now. Thursday and Friday we had off for Thanksgiving, so that was all I painted this week, was just the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I'm feeling like this painting isn't going as smoothly as I want to, and I'm not quite happy with it. I just feel really distracted. Though I am learning a lot still with this painting. I think the biggest thing that I took away from this week was Magda coming by and helping me push it out of the block-in into the resolving stage, because I did feel like I was circling in the block-in for a long time making these adjustments, but it just goes to show with how important it is for me to see if the drawing value and color are accurate by first making sure that the edges of everything are accurate, because the edges really help me see or bring it a lot closer to nature so that I can see the deficiencies or what's working well in my painting. So yeah, that really helped to have the sharpest sharp and also see the softest soft and working in that scale. So then everything was just starting to get more accurate then by making sure that the edges was as soft or as sharp as it needed to be while I corrected the drawing, value structure, or color. And now for my still life. I feel like I'm really close to finishing this up. One last thing that I want to work on this is the pot to get that stronger. I feel like everything else is working well, and I think it represents in a good way what the material is, like the plank of wood, the garlics, and the carpet that's in the background. The one thing though with the pot, I feel like it kind of looks cottony. Like if I were to knock on it with my knuckle, it wouldn't feel like it's a glossy ceramic pot that has a lot of weight to it. It just looks like a little mushy and cottony is the only word I can think of to describe it. And so I was talking with Matt, and he was saying that mostly is because of I need to work out the planes better and the edges in between shapes to show the planes, and that'll help show the structure of it. I've been experimenting a lot with texture in this painting, liking how a lot of it has turned out. Like for the rug, how I put the paint on in ways that would how the threads make up the rug. So it's this crisscross form is how I'm painting it in. The plank of wood, I used a palette knife a lot to get this kind of chunky look, which how the plank of the wood actually looks, so I like that. So I've been thinking about this, and when I was putting the dust on the pot, I was thinking like to make it feel like dust, I would dry brush a lighter color over the lightest parts, or the dustiest parts, because I thought that would feel like I'm dusting dust on it. But I think that wasn't the best way, because I think that's what's giving it that like mushy cottony feeling rather than a solid feeling. So I'm going to change that up how I'm painting that. So hopefully I can finish it this last week before winter break. And then for the extras in the week, Tuesday evening, I did this little pencil drawing. That this was the day that I go around and critique everyone else, so I didn't have a ton of time to work on my drawing of it, which I posed the model Joe into the Thinking Man by Rodin, and he just has a really great body shape for it. So that would be really fun to do a more developed painting or a more developed drawing. And then I worked on my portrait of Dimitri again, which I'm happy I got to do this because before, this is the second day that I worked on it, and the first day that I did it all in charcoal and white chalk. And I don't like to spray the charcoal down on it because I like to be able to, when I start painting it, I like to be able to move it around, the charcoal around with my brush if I want to. So I was kind of nervous because I think it's been 2 weeks since I had worked on it, and I didn't want, the charcoal rubs off really easily, so I was kind of worried something would accidentally happen, but it didn't. So the day that I got to work on it again, I put paint on it, so now everything is solidly down. I just used a shadow color, which kind of looks like a raw umber, which was just black, cad red light, and yellow ochre to get that brown color. And you can also still see the chalk that's left in the light parts, like his forehead and on his nose. But again, this painting's really fun to do, working with that direct eye contact with the model. I think it's giving the painting like a really nice, like an intense look for the viewer. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I don't know when I'll get to work on this again, but I'm going to see how far I can take this.